Welcome to the Podawan podcast. Today, we're going to talk about Clone Wars final season trailer, Obi Wan series being delayed. Matt Martin confirming that one of our beloved Jedi might have survived Order 66, and the Knights of the Old Republic coming in hot. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Podawan podcast. Today, we got a bunch of news that a ton of news dropped this week.
Yeah,
Some controversy. So, just let's kick things off right off the bat. First, actually, Ollie, have you had a good week? Everything's going well?
I have. I have. Thank you.
I want to say that actually last night I fell asleep. I was up late playing on my Switch, and I actually Return of the Jedi came on, and I actually fell asleep to it. So I kind of committed a sin last night. So I'm sorry, everybody. It was like 1 in the morning. I don't know
Yeah,
what
there
to
was like
tell
a
you.
marathon. I saw Attack of the Clones a little bit.
Yeah, I was watching Return of the Jedi, and once the Ewoks came out, I was like, all right, time for bed apparently. So, um, but we're gonna talk about some news.
Yes.
Lots of news today. Not so much in the theory realm like we had in the last podcast. So, our first piece, Obi Wan, the series, the Obi Wan series that was leaked last year that has been development has been delayed. Uh, Basically, the shoots have been pushed back. There's some theories around it. Some people are speculating that the episodes have been cut from 6 episodes to four. Some people, I don't know where the 6 episodes came from. And
Right.
then McGregor a couple days ago, apparently at the Birds of Prey premiere, had some comments on that as well on the whole production when asked about it. So basically, he mentions that it's all bullshit, and that the Disney series stuff, that it's all bullshit, that it's just being slid back because of the episode 9, because of all the I don't want to say the news, I guess, just around all the events of episode 9 and everything. So, but there's a lot of speculation going on. So, Ollie, what's your thoughts initially from hearing this news?
Yeah, I mean, I was worried at first just because I heard that it may have been canceled or something, and obviously you don't want any kind of bad news coming out. But to be honest with you, I'm not worried about it now that I've heard Ewan McGregor talk about it. And I mean, it's just too early on all these things with like the TV shows and movies and stuff. Like so many things go back and forth that every little leak you get, one will say it's coming out tomorrow, one says it's never coming out, one says it's a different actor. You know what I mean? It just like,
Yeah,
I feel like Obi-Wan's something that the fan base really wants and that Disney's behind, and they have a good script. Ewan McGregor's read it, said it's awesome, and
yeah.
it's coming out. Like, I don't know the day it's coming out. I don't know if they're going to turn it into a movie, if it's going to be 4 episodes, if it's going to be 20 episodes. Like, I'm not really worried about it at this point. I just don't think there's enough. The leaks aren't interesting enough for me yet. Does that make sense? Like, once kind of
Yeah.
some story stuff comes out, I'll get more into it. And then if, like, it's supposed to come out in, like, 6 months and it's like, oh, it's backed up for, like, then I'll start worrying about it. But right now, I just feel like it's too early in the process. They haven't even started shooting yet. I am very confident at this point that Obi-Wan is coming out. A series, a show, a movie, something with Obi-Wan's coming out. And I'm not too
Yeah.
worried about it yet. You know what I mean? So this was like a lot of, I mean, again, when it first came out, I was a little worried because I just didn't want to hear that it was canceled, because you never know. You know what I mean? But once hearing Ewan
Right.
McGregor say like, nah, it's in. You know what I mean? We're good. Like, so no, it's kind of a big no factor to me now that I've heard kind of the actual news. People overreacting about nothing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I was kind of one of those people. I kind of initially overreacted
Yep.
because just of Star Wars track record. I mean, in a
Yeah, a lot of
sense,
stuff gets
lately,
boggled up, yeah.
as of late, I think since Last Jedi, it's kind of been like that because of the blowback of Last Jedi. I mean, I know that.
Well, the solo thing is really when it all.
Well, the solo stuff too. Yeah.
But
So
it's
you
it
had the
started from the beginning. You're right. Rogue One
yeah,
had the director change at the end, or like whatever that so and so came in and finished editing it. So there, yeah, it's been going
Right.
on since the beginning. That's what we've talked about in the past. That it seems like if there's one complaint, and they're all rumors, so who knows? But like, it does
Right.
seem like maybe the higher ups, you know what I mean, especially Kathleen Kennedy, may be too hands on and not let the directors or the producers go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm
I
not.
think that's
Yeah, it seems like they're
and
a little
that's
too much.
and that's kind of that's I don't want to.
No, it's a
That's kind
worry.
of a
Yeah. Yep.
Disney approach
Yeah.
right
Yep.
there, because Disney does that to everybody.
Yep.
So if they're adopting that approach, then yeah, that is concerning,
Yep.
because we're hearing all this stuff about Project Luminous, and now some people are speculating this affects that in some way. I don't think it's going to affect Project Luminous in any way. I think that's a totally separate project.
Yeah,
But
I think those people have been working on Project Luminous, like, even when the other movies were being developed. I don't think they're part of this whole thing, to be honest with you.
yeah, but it still concerns me,
Yeah,
because
no,
that
absolutely.
tells me, if Disney is going to get in, or I shouldn't say Disney, if the higher ups at Lucasfilms and Kathleen Kennedy, they're going to get involved. I mean, they got involved in the movies. Are they going to get involved in everything else? And if that's the case, you know, creativity might go out the door, and
Right. And when
that's when you
we
run into
should say
issues.
involved in like the micromanaging. They're obviously going to be
Yeah,
involved. They're the ones that produce everything and greenlight everything, but it
right.
seems like they greenlight stuff and then don't let the creative people go. You know what I mean? They kind of like
Right.
it at first and then take a peek and go, "Oh my god, no, you got to change this, you got to change this." And it seems
Right.
a little too the way they do it just from the report seems a little too rushed. Like, higher ups are always going to do that. They're always going to be a part of it, but it always seems like it's a little late in the process, or they make like kind of quick decisions that I mean, look,
Yeah.
it's I don't think anything's been a disaster so far, but it's been it is it's I think you're right to be nervous about it, but yeah, I'm yeah, in general I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. We There was a tweet over the weekend, or yeah, a few. Well, I should say it was actually longer than that. It was 5 days ago. Matt Martin. Someone tweeted at him. Will we ever learn what really happened to Quill and Voss after Episode 3? Now, if you don't know who Quill and Voss is, I believe he's in Clone Wars
He is. Yep.
briefly.
He has an arc with
Um,
Obi-Wan.
he's part of the Jedi Order. There's a book called Dark Disciple on him. I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books. So definitely check that out if you haven't. But this tweet says, "Will we ever learn what really happened to Quill and Voss after Episode 3? Is it heavily implied he survived Order 66, but he had to be dead by the time Return of the Jedi, as Luke was the last Jedi then? Will this be addressed in a novel or comic in the future?" And Matt Martin, who's, he
The man.
leaks the man, he leaks everything. He gives the
He's
people
part of
what
the
they want.
Yeah,
He
he's
get he
part of the
gives
story
them,
group. Yeah.
yeah, he gives every fan what they want. He's still on the likely survivors of Order 66 list, so it's quite possible his story will be told eventually. So, thoughts on that? I mean, that's pretty wide open right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give my general thoughts. You're more into this than I am. Like, the Dark
Yep.
Disciples more um up your alley. I do like it. I'm just saying, like, I know you like him a lot. He's a
Yeah.
very interesting Jedi. You should check him out in the Clone Wars if you're interested at all. You should check him out in Dark Disciple, which, like we had discussed before the show, Dark Disciple is like a book written off of the scripts for a Clone Wars arc, so it's all in the same thing. He's kind of an off the radar Jedi. He is a Jedi, but he kind of does stuff his own way. I believe he's the first one that they introduced the thing that the force power that Cal Kestis has in Fallen Order, where he can
Yep.
like sense the history around an object when he touches it, kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's like
Kind of like Force Collector.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
and in the Force Collector the kid has it. Yep, good point. He's
Yep.
like when they introduced that, I believe. But he so to just simply explain it, he's an interesting Jedi, kind of off the beaten path, doesn't agree with everything the Jedi Council does. Kind of got like a Qui-Gon Jinn vibe that he's not always on the Council side. You know what I mean?
I
They're
would
different
say he's
Jedi,
more.
but he
I would say he's more like Rail Avaros, actually.
well, Rail Avaros is very like Qui-Gon. That's my point.
Well, yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah,
like
I know,
they're
but
not like council. They're not like hardcore. Everything the council does is correct. They have their own
right,
views on
right,
stuff. I don't mean he's like Qui-Gon in terms of like he's a totally different person. I just mean he's not as strict to the Jedi code as others.
right.
So which makes him interesting. And he has a very interesting background in terms of canon. Like he was basically a character that was like in the background of the on Tatooine and Phantom Menace that they then made a character around
Yep,
because he looked cool. So he's very interesting. For me, like again, we're getting into that. We've talked about it before. After Order 66, we just get into this point where like we have Rebels, we have all these, we have Fallen Order now, we have Ahsoka. There's just so many like Jedi, non-Jedi that are apparently alive in this period that we didn't think were, which I'm totally fine with. I just think with the canon and killing everyone before A New Hope, or like we're running out of. In other words, if Ahsoka was around and technically Ezra wasn't dead, right?
yeah,
Um, we're just getting to the point where we're kind of fine tuning the whole. We've run out of excuses for like, well, they're not actually Jedi anymore, right? Like I can't like. There's only so many times you can do that. I feel like,
yeah,
to be honest, though, I feel like Quinlan Voss is the perfect person that they could do that with. He very much after Dark Disciple is on a different path, and in the book he goes kind of
yep,
dark side, right? So like he actually is a very interesting one that you could easily write that he survived Order 66 because he left the Order and disappeared. You know what
yeah.
I mean? And doesn't consider himself a Jedi or anything like that.
He has
Um,
ties to the Night Sisters now too because of Ventress. So I
right.
mean,
So
that's a
it
huge,
it's very interesting, right?
yeah,
Like it could be I could see, he's an interesting one where you could see him be maybe like an old hermit with force sensitivity and force like knowledge that Luke goes and search for after Return of the Jedi. That claims he's not a
yeah,
Jedi, isn't interested in being a Jedi, but obviously with his power being very interesting. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like
right.
recalling history, that maybe Luke learns a lot from him. So yeah, I'm interested. He is a fascinating character. They've done very little with him.
I think,
So I'm all about it. But yeah, I know
yeah,
you love him. So what do you
yeah,
think?
yeah. I mean, he's yeah. I want more on him. I mean,
Yeah.
the story, like the Dark Disciple, is like I said, it's one of my favorite books. It definitely shows the relationship between the light and the dark side really well.
Yeah.
You see him fall to the dark side. You see, it's kind of like,
Isn't there a yellow
uh,
lightsaber in it too?
oh yeah, he
Don't
has a
they?
yellow
He
lightsaber, which
buys
is
one or
great.
something, or makes one.
He makes it.
He makes it. Okay, cool.
Don't quote me if I'm pretty sure he makes it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he's wicked cool in that sense. I mean, like I said, it shows the relationship between the light and the dark side, kind of like uh, if you can't beat them, join them in a
Mm-hmm.
sense to beat them, and you see like he interacts with Ventress, interacts like with Obi Wan in that book.
Yeah. And
I think
Dooku,
even
right?
Anakin and oh yeah, there's a lot of Dooku in that.
Yeah.
Dooku sucks. I just he's such a douchebag. Um, but he's yeah, he's very interesting in that sense. He's kind of like off the cuff, like just whatever. I'm a Jedi, but like I'm cool. He's kind of like
Yeah.
I don't want to say arrogant, but he's kind of just like yeah, I'm a Jedi. I can kick anyone's ass, but
He
I'm
could fit
Joe.
into that thing everyone hates that I love, the Gray Jedi. He could fit nicely in
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he definitely fits into that, especially with his relationship with Ventress. I
Yeah.
think that like exploits that, and he yeah, it would be interesting to see where it goes from that if there's like an additional side story or maybe like another book. I
Yeah.
mean, I would be all for just another book. It doesn't necessarily have to be a TV series or anything like that, but he's definitely he reminds me when I read Master and Apprentice in her the audiobook version listening to Rail Avaros, I was like,
Yeah.
this sounds
Very
very
Quinlan.
similar to Roland
Yeah.
Voss. And I actually really like Rail Avaros. And a lot of people in the Star Wars community really like Rail Avaros from just like how
Yep.
he's kind of like that great Jedi, like you're mentioning. And I think you know what? It's maybe we should start showing a little more of that
Yeah.
because
Yep.
we have. I mean, Obi Wan. Obi Wan will forever be my favorite Jedi,
but he's
but
very to the code.
um, he's
Yep.
very cut and dry. You're not gonna get any. He does risk a little bit, but you don't get him like diving into the dark side to
Right.
defeat evil. Like
Yep.
he's not gonna do that. All right, moving on from Quill and Voss, we're gonna discuss the trailer for the final season of Clone Wars. Ollie, I'll let you kick this one off because you're more of the trail junkie than I am. So,
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm into it. It was awesome. It's good to see. It's always interesting, like the little updates, because you can tell it looks a little different. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it does has that feeling of the Clone Wars art style, which was a little different than Rebels. Um, but yeah, it got me excited again. I mean, there's a lot of it's weird for me. There's a lot of Star Wars that I'm super excited about, like the Luminous and stuff like that I'm like chomping at the bit for. And then there's other stuff like the Clone Wars series, Obi Wan, that I know I'm going to love, but I just
yeah,
don't get too pumped about it because I know it's not out yet. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. I don't know. It's so this one's definitely one of those that I got the trailer and then was like, oh come on, I really want to watch it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because I've known it's coming out and I just try not to get too excited about it, especially in this time right now where there's like not a lot of books coming out. There's just not a lot, you know. So I'm
yep.
trying not to get too over the top because it's gonna take a while for stuff to come out. But yeah, it looks awesome, you know. We're gonna get some answers and some deeper dives. Obviously, I'm very interested to see the whole Siege of Mandalore thing.
Oh yeah,
Because our channel started kind of around the Mandalorian show, and I think there's going to be some interesting tidbits in there. Um, you know,
definitely
so,
some answers.
yeah, so that'll be cool to keep an eye on, and there'll be maybe little mentions because we're gonna get more in Mandalorian season 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then once we've seen the whole Siege of Mandalore thing, they may be able to play off some of the stuff in there, and who knows? Maybe we'll see Gideon, maybe we won't. He may be in the Republic at this point, or not. We don't know. You know, age wise, it's tough to guess of what exactly he was at this time because it sounds like more like he was in charge right before or right after A New Hope when they went back to Mandalore is what it seems like, and took back over. But I would be interested to see because maybe he's like you know how they put Tarkin in there in the Clone Wars,
Yeah,
like where he's like a Republic general. Maybe he's like on the ship that with the Republic that goes and he's some kind of general or something, which would be interesting. I think that'd be a neat place for him.
yep,
But that's exciting. The clone troopers repainting their helmets with the Ahsoka logo. That's cool.
yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff. Maul looks great. That Ahsoka Maul battle. It'll be interesting to see how that plays because a lot of people are like, oh man, Ahsoka shouldn't be able to beat Darth Maul or Darth blah 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 and all this stuff. And it's like, well, it's already in the Ahsoka book. She like describes exactly what happens. So
Yeah,
it's like we
she already
already
talked
kind of
about
know
it.
exactly how it's going to go down. So it'll just be interesting to see it play out, which will be fun.
Yeah, yeah,
And then there'll be some other. I'm not like a huge Bad Batch person, but I can see myself loving those because I don't know a ton about it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And there'll be other stuff like we were talking about. We don't. Dark Disciple was supposed to be in this season, I think, and I haven't heard much about it. So that'd
It
be
was
cool if
supposed to
it popped up,
be.
right?
It was supposed to be a two. I don't know if it was a 2 or 3 episode thing. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
Well,
so that could pop up.
uh,
I don't know. I think there's going to be some stuff that's a little
well,
secretive,
look
like
it up.
always, right? So not
Right.
everything. So maybe that's it. So yeah, I'm excited. How many episodes do we know? Is it like 20? They used to be long. They used to be a
I
lot of
don't.
episodes in a
They
season.
were usually around 22.
Yeah. So we should get something like that, right?
Final season. All right. Let's see.
I know we have Bad Batch. I know we have the Siege of Mandalore, and the Siege of Mandalore gets into a little bit of Order 66, I believe. So I think we're gonna get to see like Rex and Ahsoka kind of escape and fake their own death kind of thing, like they talk about in the Ahsoka novel. So I'll be interested to
Yeah.
see how they leave that off because that'll be a little bit post Revenge of the Sith, the movie. So I want to interesting to see if they do that because that'd be pretty cool.
I'm trying to find how many episodes. I can't.
You know, and Bad Batch and them, that is only 2 arcs. There's usually like 4 arcs in a season, I think, maybe
Right.
even more. Um, So there'll be some surprise stuff. I didn't notice there is the whole. So I think they'll play the Siege of Mandalore thing will probably play out on top of Ahsoka's story because they seem like they're gonna dive into Ahsoka's thing where she goes into the the under levels of Coruscant and kind of meets some people. So I think that's like Ahsoka's arc is gonna turn into the Siege of Mandalore. You know what I mean? So that may take up a lot of episodes because she's got to kind of come back and get the blue lightsabers, and so there's a lot going on there.
So there's also supposedly, and now I'm reading this, Filoni said that the Clone Wars should be running during and after Episode 3
Right.
concurrently. So
Right,
it's
as
going to
it's
be a
going
different
on.
perspective.
Yeah, yep.
So, which is interesting. So it's probably going to play up with like a Ahsoka story. I'm assuming it's
Yeah.
probably going to be her like realizing like Anakin sucks. Um,
Right.
so
Well, no, they're going to come back and what's the beginning of Revenge of the Sith is that battle over Coruscant too, right?
yeah,
So
yep,
maybe that'll come into play like in Ahsoka's storyline. Maybe you'll hear that happening kind of thing. So that'll be neat to see what kind of connections are there.
yeah,
Um yeah, so I mean I'm pumped.
yeah.
What do you
Oh
think? I
yeah.
mean, I know you're not as big into the Clone Wars, but you like it.
No,
So
no,
what
no.
are you
I
pumped? Yeah.
definitely like it. I like more. I think I was super excited for this because I love Ahsoka as a character.
Yep.
It's again, she's like a almost like a gray Jedi in a sense. Like she's not cut and dry. So her storyline is always interesting. I really want to see how it connects to Rebels in some ways too, because I think that'll answer some questions as to where everyone went
Yeah.
just before Rebels. And then Darth Maul. I mean, he's my favorite Sith. I mean, he's badass. I we get to see him. We get to see him on Siege of Mandalore. What he does. Um, I mean, we already saw what he kind of did already, but this is more. This will go more in depth, which
Yeah.
it's just it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. So
Yep.
I'm all about Darth Maul, Ahsoka. Siege of Mandalore as well. I mean, I like this period more. I like the prequels a lot.
Yep.
I like that time period because it just shows the rise and fall of the Jedi Order in a sense. So
Mhm.
it's always interesting to me. I'm all about it. I'm more intrigued now that I just saw it that if it is running concurrently with
Yeah, to
Revenge of the
see
Sith,
maybe what kind of little notions we can pick up, little hints of what's
yeah,
going on. Yeah. I think I mean
yeah,
we haven't
absolutely.
fully talked about it, but I probably guess it was assumed. We'll probably do episode reviews because they're coming out weekly, right?
I don't. Are they?
Yeah, I think they are. So maybe we
I
can do
don't.
that as part of the podcast and then we'll separate it out for a YouTube video. We'll do the
Clone
reviews every week.
Wars final season release date, and then all right, I'm looking it up right now just to confirm.
Yep.
So
It's like February 21st or 22nd or
it's
something like that.
it's 12 episodes.
Oh, so it's short. Okay.
It's 12 episodes, and you're right. It's every week.
Okay.
The first four episodes have been released. It just says The Bad Batch, A Distant Echo, On the Wings of Paradox. Is that how you say it? Paradox.
I don't know.
And Unfinished Business. So looks like they're going to approach the Bad Batch stuff right off the bat.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll do
Um,
episode reviews.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, if you haven't like for the listeners out there, if you haven't watched Clone Wars, I mean, it is.
Super easy to watch now on Disney
It's,
Plus too. You can
I
zoom
mean,
through it. Yep.
from a watching standpoint, like it is kind of like it, it's made for teenagers, I would say.
If you
Um,
can watch Rebels, this is a little more mature than Rebels. So,
yes, yeah, it's like if you, yeah, definitely like it's aimed towards like the teenage audience.
yep.
Super easy to watch. There's some filler episodes that you can kind of skip over here and there, but like it gives way more. A lot of the things that we reference in a lot of our analysis and theories and stuff, a lot of that info actually comes from the
There was a
series.
ton.
Yeah,
It added a lot of lore. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
a shit ton of lore. So
Yep.
like if you're like, oh, I don't understand like this piece of lore that we're talking about, it
Probably
guaranteed
from
it's
yeah.
probably from
I mean
Clone
my
Wars.
like I was saying like my Mandalore videos on the Darksaber and Mandalore is like 90% Clone Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just in uh yeah, it explains so much. Same with Rebels too, on some level. Like if
Yeah.
you haven't watched Rebels, it's the
Yep.
same thing. Like they explain a lot more what's going on,
Yep.
and it gives you more in depth, into the lore of Star Wars. I mean, it's you even like what did we talk about last week? Like Korriban, like you see that in Clone Wars, like
Yep.
like that planet, and you don't see it anywhere else in the movies.
Yep.
So stuff like that, that's where that's it's definitely a good series to watch. I like Rebels more personally, but like Clone Wars is still a great series. Like I love it,
Yeah,
a
it's a
lot of
must
it.
watch
So
for like canon. If you're really gonna get into it, it's a must watch.
yeah, absolutely. Um, all right, so we'll
Getting
just
to the
move
bread and
on.
butter.
Yeah, bread and butter. This is so I'm super excited for this news piece. That just hearing this. Um, so it's rumored. Actually, you know what? I should probably get the article out. That might help a little bit.
Yeah, give me the
Um,
breakdown because I
all right.
I purposely stayed a little bit in the dark on this to kind of react to it live. So what do we
All
got?
right. So Cinelix, Cinelix. There's no C, you dumbass. Uh, Cinelinx. So they were the ones that leaked the Obi Wan series originally.
Okay.
So pretty credible if you're gonna look at a source. And they dropped what's they so a couple days ago, Knights of the Old Republic remake might be back in the cards. And I will read off some of this stuff just so.
Yeah, quick question off the top. Is it
Yeah.
like a remake, like they're just straight up remaking everything about it, or they're like doing a spin-off of that game? Like is it gonna be because that game wasn't canon.
So
So
let
does this
me
make it? Yeah, all right.
it kind of
Yep.
explains it a little
Okay.
bit. So it says time to dust off an old scoop as we've heard for the new Knights of the Old Republic game remake sequels in the works. A lot of things in 2015, a lot of Star Wars things were in the air at the time we were originally reported. That Knights of the Old Republic remake was in some form of development. In 2016, I reported the game was put on the back burner, and it wasn't something EA was actively pursuing. I'm reading this verbatim.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a few lines I'm skipping. Heard an update from two independent sources, different from the ones who given me the prior information. One of whom helped confirm our Ewan McGregor scoop last year, hence the Obi Wan leaks. This came out of the blue. The remake is back in development. My other source added to that, saying they felt it wasn't so much a remake, but a sequel of sorts. It would be a
Okay.
Knight of the Old Republic project that would integrate elements from the first two games in order to bring certain things into the current Star Wars canon, not necessarily a remake so much as a reimagining. He goes on to discuss, some of the KOTOR, like it wouldn't be a big stretch to make it work because we haven't really explored this area. Um, and he also says, I've heard EA has a bunch of Star Wars projects in various stages of work at this point, from Jedi Fallen Order sequels, the Project Luminous tie-in, which is in something on the Switch.
Cool.
There's a lot going on, which is really cool. Um,
Sorry. Excuse me.
and then he's also saying, from what I'm hearing, it really sounds like EA has found the Star Wars license, which we disagree. I think it's still bullshit
Yeah.
right there. But I mean,
It's
fortunately, I
fine.
don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, don't get me wrong when I hate on EA. I want them to do great. Like I'm rooting for them because it in the end gives us good content. I was just commenting on what's happened in the past. But I
yeah.
am hoping that they turn it around. Like
So, and they let's see. So they're saying that they think E3 this year is going to
they'll
have,
drop something about it.
yeah,
When's
that's
E3?
in
May?
June.
June?
June. So holy shit, if this is real,
Yeah. Or maybe it's Star Wars
um,
Star Wars celebrations in May, right? Or April? Maybe they'll have something there. Or
well,
a
if it's,
mention of it.
yeah, maybe. I mean,
Maybe
I don't
not like
know.
footage, but maybe they'll be like, we're working on it. You know,
I
especially
don't.
once the leaks come out. Usually, if there's something leaked before it, they mention it. You know what I mean?
But have they ever done that with a video game, though.
Yeah,
That's the
well, all the
thing.
video games have
Because
sucked. So what were they gonna do? They probably have done it with Battlefront, but everybody knew those were coming out,
um,
right? The only one that's
I
come out is
I don't know if
Battlefront
they
and
have.
Fallen Order.
Yeah, but did they leak them, or not leak them, but did they show them at the Star Wars Celebration, or did
I
they?
don't, but that's not. I'm saying they may not show them. They may mention them, like they're in, like officially say it is something we're working on. Because this is still a leak at this point, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
I
that's
mean
my point. To just be like, yeah, we're working on it, or like show the title. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. We
I
did
think
find out about
I
Fallen
think you
Order
give.
early, without any footage or anything. It was like, oh, it's going to be called Fallen Order. And I was like, oh shit, like what does that mean? You know what I mean? They could do something like
Yeah,
that.
I I don't know because I'm just saying from like a video game standpoint, I could definitely see them holding off until E3 because that's just how video games are. It's kind of
Well,
ridiculous, but
except
is
that
is
it's
Star
Star Wars
Wars
with Disney. So if
and
they have
maybe
stuff, Disney's going to take advantage of it.
yeah.
Or a D23. They have all those different things that they could say it at. But I think D23 is after
Uh
E3.
yeah, I wouldn't think D23. I would think more E3. E3 would be like
You're
if they
missing
were
the
gonna
point.
go
It's going to be at
what?
E3. That's fine. But Disney doesn't run E3. Disney runs the Star Wars Celebration and runs D23. So if there's a big announcement,
Okay.
they always do. It's annoying. Don't get me wrong. E3 is a better place for it because that's where the video game should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they always try to do their Disney thing.
Yeah, I know, which is stupid, but
Yeah.
I
Hey, if
mean,
we
Star
get it,
Wars
we get it.
Celebration,
I'll
I'm
take
fine
it.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're not going to see anything video game related wise if they are working on this, and it's like we're not going to see anything until E3. I
Yeah.
think that's my
Does it have any dates or anything on it?
nothing. No
So
release
this could
dates,
be
no
like
nothing.
5 fucking years out. Video games take
I don't
forever.
know. No, because if it's EA that's developing it, then
Yeah, true. It's a little bit
so
faster
I've
sometimes.
actually researched this quite a bit, and it seems like so you got the EA licensing that's up in 20. I think we said last episode was 2023.
Yeah, I think it's
20,
another while. Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't think that
Oh,
it
true.
would
They're
be
not
that
going to
far
be.
out.
Yeah, they're not going to
So
work on something that's going to be released after their license. Yeah, good point.
right. So you have that going for you. The second thing, I think with the blowback, well, let me take a step back. So BioWare was the ones that made the original
Right.
um, KOTOR, but right now they're doing a whole different project. I think it's called what are they doing? Dragon Age. So
Inquisition, that game, or was that the name
yeah,
of one of the games? Yeah. Okay.
whatever that series is. So
Yeah.
they're working on that. So it's kind of interesting that this is coming out. It's like, all right, then who is going to be developing it?
Yeah.
Like which one of EA's studios is actively developing it if it's true. Um, so that's really interesting. And then the words remake sequel aspect. What do you
Yeah.
think of that?
Well, so I'm more excited now that you read it because I don't. So let me explain my whole thing here. Why I was asking you to read it, because when you first said it and when I first heard the news, I thought they were referencing this thing that was called Aperion Project, which was a group of like fans that were remastering, which is the correct
Yeah,
version of like that's exactly what they were doing, the original Knights of the Old Republic. They were
I think
basically
they're
taking
still
the
doing it.
exact game. The latest I saw is they tried to sign a petition to get it to continue, and it didn't get enough things. But
Oh,
anyways,
really? Wow.
whether it's happening or not, my point is I thought they were kind of talking about this, but I always thought it was fan made. So this is totally different. That was a project that they were basically taking the exact game and making it like look like today's standards. They were putting it on a
Right.
new engine and everything. And there were a few like just walkarounds, like where the guy just walked through like Terrace Underworld or whatever, and it looked amazing. It was really cool. But it wasn't going to be different. It was just going to be just updating it, right? Like special
Right.
edition, just
Right.
make it look like it belongs today with the exact same game.
Right.
When you said remake, because it's weird that they're saying remake, because once you read what they're saying, it doesn't sound like a remake at all. Remake, like in other words, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Knights of the Old Republic 2 and the Old Republic massive multiplayer online game
Yep.
are all not a non-canon now, right? So they're not like now
Technically, yes.
it's far enough in the past that maybe like there's not a lot of interference, but technically they're non-canon.
Well,
So a
Revan's not. That's
remake
the only thing
seems
that's
weird.
not.
Well, parts of it are canon. Like Revan has been made canon, but that doesn't mean that the Revan from the video game is the Revan that they're talking about. Like
Right.
exactly. So my point is, a remake would be weird, because it's like, all right, well, like you got to adjust some stuff, right? But it sounds like they're doing a brand new game in vein of what they did in Knights of the Old Republic, which is awesome. Like that's cool.
I
My one worry, video game wise,
oh
is
god,
that
it's
well,
EA.
no, well, yeah, I mean EA, but I'm saying more like honestly, as much as we love those style games, if they release something that was almost exactly the same, I know we would like it, right? Like those
Yeah.
mechanics. Do you think that holds up in today's like past the Star Wars name brand that would sell you games, right? Like some people would buy it just because it's Star Wars. But if you basically re-released Knights of the Old Republic with slightly different storyline to fit canon, you know what I mean?
Okay.
With all those mechanics, do you think those mechanics work in today's
Yes.
gaming?
Yes.
See, I
100%.
disagree. I think it would
Why?
be
Why?
well because people would buy it because of Star Wars, but I think there's better mechanics and there's mechanics that have come out since that. I think it's an antiquated version of video gaming. I don't think it would sell as well. I think there's better ways to do stuff. Is all I'm saying. It
Okay.
was
So like,
very new and intricate at the time it came out. I think it needs to be updated.
well, what kind? Okay. So what mechanics are you talking about? Are you
The
talking about like
the
the skills
weird
tree and like that stuff, or
well
are you
that would
talking?
be no, because that's still in RPGs. Just the combat is. Have you gone back and played it? I played it like a year ago on like a
Yeah.
emulator kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
I did too.
interesting for nostalgia wise. I don't know that it works video game wise now. It's a weird blend of real time combat that you can stop kind of deal. I just think I think they can add stuff. All I'm saying is they need to update it. I hope they don't just like go, okay, just do exactly the same thing. I think it can be better. I think it can flow better is what I should say.
Oh, all right.
You may
So
disagree. I'm just saying, for me, I would enjoy it. I'm saying that today's video games that are coming out and selling well don't perform like that. They don't look like that. So I don't know that if you do that, you may have to be, you're going to have to bring something a little bit new to the table, which I'm sure they're thinking. Like, this is me just saying that if you re-release KOTOR and KOTOR wasn't KOTOR, I know it's a
yeah.
confusing statement, like take Star Wars off it and just release that game now with no background, like just out of the blue, I don't think it would sell well. People would be like, I don't know. Like you know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah.
What, you really think that?
The
I don't know.
strategy genre is, which this has pieces of, is dying. Unfortunately.
You sure about that? Because Fire
Sales
Emblem,
wise,
I would
yes.
argue that. I would argue the other way. I think Fire Emblem kind of revived that. Really,
I think
that's
it's
what it
because it's
is.
Fire Emblem. Yeah. I don't.
No, no, no. Because hey, it was so Fire Emblem almost died like 10 years ago, and that was it's always been the same kind of format. It's always been a strategy based game where you
I
have
understand.
to.
So give me another game that's come out recently that sold really well that's not Fire Emblem.
That's not fire. That's
that
strategy
that
based.
uses that exact formula. You know what I mean? I love the games. Like you're not pitching me like Golden
Well,
Sun and all those. Like loved them.
yeah.
They just don't sell. Like Fire Emblem did really well. It was a really good move to revamp that. And you've told me that but they made little slight differences too to advance it. You know what I mean? And this
Uh,
wasn't quite. Knights of the Old Republic wasn't that. It was different than that because it was more live. But
well, it's more real time. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying the strategy based games.
right,
I
right,
would
right.
argue they're not dying. I would say, yeah, you would have to tweak it. I would say, like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of agreeing with you. At the same time, I'm kind of trying to figure out in
they're
my
not the
head,
big
like,
they're not the big sellers is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that it can't do well. Like it's not like they're just not those games for the most part, and there are exceptions. Well, name me another game that's Fire Emblem right now that's crushing it. in the last 3
That
years.
that's not Fire Emblem?
Right, that's not doesn't have the name I'm saying if Star Wars comes out with the same thing, they're still gonna sell a lot of games comparatively. You know what I mean?
I mean, real time if you're talking real-time combat, I would go Final Fantasy 15. I mean, that game sold really well, and that's more I would say that's more similar to, Knights of the Old Republic compared to, say, like, Fire Emblem. It's real-time combat, but then you have the ability to kinda slow down time and like make decisions based on like kind of like time. Like you have only in the Final Fantasy VII remake that's coming out. That's kind of the same way, the same gist. You're in real time. It's not turn based, but you're
Again,
also
kind of
like
to my yeah, I guess I don't know. Kind of to
they're
my point is
revamping it.
they're continually these are all names that people buy the game just because it's Final Fantasy. People will buy the game just because it's Star Wars. I'm saying like the industry, like no one's coming out of nowhere with an IP, a new IP in this genre and
Mhm.
doing well. That's my point. In the overall gaming industry, it's all shooters. It's all like these trying to do these multiplayer, like you know what I mean. Like that's where everything's going. I even agree. Like the single player market like came back a little bit this year, but it's all because of God of War and Fallen Order did well. But those
So
games are
that's
having tough times
you.
when you
You
come
just
out with a
brought
brand new IP.
you just brought up a good. So God of War. That was one that
Crushed.
yeah, it crushed it, but like that was also one game that I've listened to a few podcasts on,
Yep.
that have talked about Couture, and they have mentioned several times that it could be like a God of War type remake where because that was a remake
Okay.
that came out recently. So but again, I don't. I kind of I'm in the same boat as you. I don't think they should do a complete just remake of Couture.
Right. They need to update
That
it.
yeah, they definitely need to update
It's a
it.
great
Um,
foundation, is what I was trying to say. I I guess I got a little too long winded on the thing. My point was that, and I guess I don't care overall if I get a good game. Um, my
yeah,
point is that like that genre of game, the exact genre that they were doing in the past, isn't as popular now in the general gaming community. Star Wars will sell no matter what. Final Fantasy will sell, these big names, you know what I mean? So I'm wondering what they'll bring. More what I'm saying is that EA cares about these things more than I do.
yeah,
So I don't want EA to get too involved and make it something that's more mainstream and ruin the game. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's true. True. I mean,
You know?
I'm just looking up. Oh God, I'm
But
trying to
I
find
am
that God of War
fascinated
thing. And
because I thought it was just a straight up remaster, but this sounds better. And if it's involved with Project Luminous, you know, very cool because then, this is that first game, maybe the game that kind of ties in that whole universe. I'm super excited about Luminous. So, if this is part of it,
yeah,
that's great.
I so I mean, Couture, I'm super excited. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I remember when that came out.
What a great
Uh,
storyline too.
oh my God. Well, it's just, it's what you want with an RPG. You get to choose which, and with Star Wars influence, you get to choose whether you go to the dark side, if you go to the light side, you choose all the different skills that you want to learn
Yep.
it's so,
But
they
either way
did
you
that.
go, the twist of the story is awesome, which
Yes.
is tough
Oh,
to do to
100%.
let you
It,
choose
yeah.
everything but still have this twist that's epic. You know what I mean? Either way, that's
It's
tough.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I love the characters. I just everything about this game I loved, and it came out during a time
It
with
was great.
the prequels, so we were
Right.
kind of in the past as it is. So like there was a lot there. I loved that whole. I can't say it enough. It also has obviously it has the hack and slash elements to it. It has the I should say loot. Not loot and shoot, but it is kind of a looter in a way.
Yeah, for the
Um,
time. Yeah.
Yeah, in its own time. So if I were to say, if you were gonna remake it, if you were gonna remake this game, let's forget about like the sequel stuff or whatever. Let's just say they decide we're gonna remake this game. How would you change the system? Would you make it more of a hack and slash, or or like a looter, or would you make it more
Well,
like
yeah. I mean, I would make it my dream is to have like basically what they almost like a weird mix of what they did in the Old Republic, the massive multiplayer online game, right?
Yeah.
But I don't even know that you can do this, but more in the looter genre, and maybe even take a page from like it's really tough to do, but I kind of want like a looter shooter, but I want you the ability with lightsabers, so I think it'd have to be third person. I don't know, but yes, looter. I would make it more to answer your question. I would make it a
Yeah.
little more loot based, right? Like some of these games like Division, Diablo,
Destiny.
Destiny, yeah, like looters, which the massive multiplayer online games are definitely looters, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like World of Warcraft and stuff like that, and the Old Republic. But so I would add that to it where it's like a little bit more looter, like random rolls and stuff like that, so that there's really cool things that you could find, not just like specific items that you get from specific things. And I don't remember it specifically. I know there was a randomization of it. I just don't think it was completely a looter shoot, like a looter. Um, I would do that. I think a big thing, and this is going to be the tough one for me
Hmm.
because I don't know how to do it, so it's going to sound very cheesy, but like multiplayer is huge. Find a way
Yeah.
to make it multiplayer, and maybe you can't. That's the part that takes you away from like the remaster of it, and
Well,
how you have to create your own storyline now. Like you have to update it to canon. Multiplayer would be epic, right? Because if you get some kind of looter multiplayer, I'm gonna play for hundreds of hours, like
I mean,
regardless,
it
right?
was multiplayer though,
It was multiplayer.
wasn't it? Am I completely thinking of a different game?
You
Because I
had
thought,
you had a party. I don't think it was multiplayer. You had to control the party. I don't think two
oh,
players
that
could
too.
play.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
Um,
you were spoiler alert, you were Revan,
right.
and
Well,
then you
yeah.
had like
Duh.
Bastila and the Mandalorian guy and the droid. Like you picked up the party members. Remember? I don't. I'm
Oh,
almost
yeah, that's
positive
right.
you
Yeah,
couldn't
so
play
it
multiplayer.
no, no, it's
That's why you
not. But
couldn't do it
what am I
exactly
thinking
like
of?
that, because you couldn't do multiplayer like that. You know
So
what I mean?
you would have to, yeah. So you would have.
The Old
I mean,
Republic was the massive the MMO.
that's
That's why I
what
think you
that's what
could
I'm
blend
thinking.
those things,
Sorry.
which would be a lot of
Yeah,
fun. But I don't.
I'm getting them confused
the
for a
the
second.
massive multiplayer stuff loses storyline sometimes, and it's tough to control. But that would be neat, you know.
You can't. So eh, yeah,
It's
it would
very
be
tough to
tough.
do.
It'd be very tough. I mean,
You think you could make a game that, like that if you chose um like bounty hunter, or if you chose to be a ranged weapon person, right? Like if you
yeah.
if you chose something where you were shooting, um it was first person, and if you
Uh,
were a lightsaber or a melee, which would basically only be lightsaber, but like if you were
well,
melee, it
that's
was third person. Like I know it hasn't really been done, but like that's always my gap with like when you go third person. Usually, first person shooters are better, in my opinion. There are good. I love Division, but like my point is, shooters like are more impactful, and I think play better first person because they're naturally
yeah,
like that. But melee is really hard to do first person. You know what I mean?
yeah. It's tough because now you're
So I wonder
getting
if you
into
could do both, like some kind of. It'll
I
be
don't know.
interesting. I'm always fascinated how they do these things. The lightsaber is such a hard thing to enter into video games without just being, like
I mean, I
Fallen
like.
Order, where you're the stud, like you just
I
kill
mean,
everything. It's tough
I
to
like
like.
where you're. I like where you're going.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think good like the different classes, like kind of like Division or like Fantasy Star Online or whatever. Like, hey, you're the sniper. I'm the tank, and someone else
Right.
is healing, and one
But you
other
may
person
play
is
from a
combat.
different perspective. So the sniper plays the
Yeah.
game from first person, and the tank, who's like the
Oh
heavy armored
God.
guy, is third person. That'd be pretty cool, right?
I just don't. Yeah. How would you do that? Because
Maybe you
like,
have to do it like Morrowind kind of thing, where you can click out or into first or third person, you know, and then you
I
can
mean,
you can choose.
Destiny kind of does that.
Yeah, when you put the sword on, you become third person. You know what I mean? You zoom
Yeah.
out. Yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah.
point. Maybe something
Destiny
like
kind of
that.
does that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so maybe, yeah, if they can do that, that'd be sick. I mean, then it would be well worth it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see how can you be a Jedi with, or yeah, I don't know how you could do that. That'd be. you have a fucking lightsaber, like, if
Yeah.
you're doing first person on the screen at all times.
Yeah, I
Imagine
mean,
if First
it's
Order was like that, you would fucking hate that game.
it would have been interesting.
Um,
They would. It's tougher to do, that's for sure. Yeah.
but, yeah, I mean, if so I was thinking of another point,
Yeah, sorry. We're kind of
ma
going off the deep end, but yeah.
no, 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 this is no, no, no,
Yep.
I am thinking about it more now that alright, so if EA is developing this because
Yep.
they have the license, what game did they just release last year that absolutely sucked?
EA.
Yes,
I
or
don't
maybe
know
it was 2 years
if it
ago.
absolutely sucked. I probably didn't play it.
So Anthem
Oh, yeah.
was
That was
over
BioWare, right?
that was BioWare.
That had a cool concept from what I read, but just didn't deliver.
So here's my theory. If oh, God, so if they're not gonna keep Anthem going,
Yep.
this is gonna fill the gap.
This is going to take its place
This is gonna take its place because Anthem
for
was such
BioWare.
a fucking yeah. Well, maybe a comedy. I don't know. It's just because they're working on something else right now. But it
Aren't there
would not.
multiple BioWare studios, or is that something else?
I think there's two. I'm not sure though.
Gotcha.
But regardless, if I would hope there's two. That'd be cool because then they could
I
actually work
think
on
there
it. But
is multiple.
um, but if they because Anthem, I mean the Anthem's gonna be gone. There's
It's
no way they're
apparently a
gonna keep that game.
disaster. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
I
even
followed it for a while, but
everything that they keep trying to do to that game is miserable. It's just not. The fan base is gone. So it's only a matter of time before that gets shut down. So maybe this is EA's opportunity to redeem itself. That said, if they're gonna do it right,
mhm.
and this is the same studio that did Titanfall as well, then this might be their redeeming thing. But it also makes me a
Oh,
little
is it by
nervous.
Respawn,
Was
or you just
Respawn
mean EA?
Titanfall?
Yeah,
EA. I'm just talking eBay.
Respawn was Titanfall. I mean, they have
Oh,
different studios
oh,
too,
oh,
but
yeah,
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
Titanfall and
Apologies. All
Apex
right, my bad. I
and
don't know
Fallen
why I'm
Order,
thinking
so
that.
they have a good.
Yeah,
They've
that's
had
what
a
I was
lot of
saying.
good
Sorry.
stuff. Yeah,
So I meant if they and actually that'd be interesting if Respawn actually did Couture, but I think they're gonna. I would not be surprised if they said, "Screw Anthem, we're done with this game." But then they made this new one with Star Wars, and it's gonna be in the kind of the same vein.
hmm
So that gets me a little bit excited, thinking like, "Oh, okay, so we could get like a Destiny like game because that's what Anthem was kind of like." That said, it makes me nervous because EA fucks up everything in some way,
that
some
is
form of
the
fashion, and
yeah.
it's just like this game. The problem with this game with Couture, and a lot of people are reporting it's going to be a remake, and that's wicked misleading because you're just
Well,
not.
that's yeah. That was going to be my final point of the whole thing. Is I'm just
Yeah,
confused of why their remake is a weird terminology for then the notes that they listed.
I think what we're gonna get is
Should
we're gonna.
it sounds like it's just inspired by is more what it should be called. Like
Yeah,
they know what was great about it, and
yeah.
they're using that to make a new game in a new timeline that fits canon. Like that's
I
more what it sounds like. Remake scares me. Like don't
yeah.
remake that game.
I
I
mean,
mean, I would like
it would
that,
be
but don't. You know what
cool,
I'm
but
saying?
it's
Like,
you would have to revamp everything. You'd have to create.
yeah. And then do they fuck that up?
Yeah, like I mean, so Final Fantasy VII is being remade. Like that is like a
hmm
remake that everyone's looking
It's a
forward to. It
remaster,
does look remaster. No, 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 no. It's
so they're
not
changing
remaster.
some
It's a
stuff.
remake.
Okay,
They
got it.
changed the system. The story. They've changed some elements of the story.
Okay,
They've made some elements longer. So like,
so
if they
maybe it
do
is
it
a
that
remake.
way, then maybe I would be more like, okay, a remake's fine. Like if it's kind of like that, because Final Fantasy VII was a long ass game.
Yep.
It was 2 discs. But there were parts that they didn't really dive into. So I could see them doing something like that. But on the flip side, maybe the remake is like what you're saying. It's like inspired. It has some of the plot threads for KOTOR and KOTOR 2, and then the sequel to it is completely new. That's just like introduces new characters because it's a tough line because this game is revered by not only Star Wars fans but non-Star Wars fans. Like this
Yeah.
game is like one of
This
those
also
games that you
happened
just
a
don't want
long
to fuck
time
with.
before this High Republic thing too. So I wonder how they'll do that.
Yeah, it's just it's
This
it.
was before the Rule of Two and all that bullshit. Like there was a lot going on, you know.
But that's what made it interesting, like all the
Right,
Sith
but my
and
point is if they
everything.
tie it into Luminous and it's close to Luminous, you start to dance along those kind of things, like where there's not really dark I mean, I guess there could be. There's a lot of excuses. I'm just saying, like, this was set in the time where there were a bunch of Sith. There were, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah,
you could kind of go wild with it.
yeah,
If you set it in that High Republic era that they're trying to go with, as much
it,
as it's further away from other canon, so there's not a ton of toes to step on, there still is toes to step on. You have to choose when Bane was, which it sounds like they're saying Bane was before this. So the Rule of
yeah,
Two is in place. So the Sith aren't really out there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I mean, they're out there, but they're in hiding kind of thing. So, like,
right.
what do you... I'm not saying you can't do anything else. There's plenty of other things you could do. You probably could spin, like, a Dark Jedi thing. But you got to be careful. You can't... You know
Yeah,
what I mean? That's my point. All of a sudden, now you set up... As much as Project Luminous gave a bunch of creative freedom to whoever's doing stuff in there, if you're going to tie this and try to remake it, in quotes, but then you put it to Luminous, now all of a sudden you've tied your hands a little bit again, you know?
right. I yeah,
It'll be
I
interesting.
agree.
I'm excited. I
It,
mean, it's awesome news. I
yeah,
like this news more than they're not working on it, right?
yeah. I mean, I'm just I guess I'm definitely super excited. I love Couture. Like I could play it on Xbox right now. The other thing we haven't mentioned too is, um, do you think this could be an Xbox exclusive? Because KOTOR, like that, it came out on Xbox initially.
I don't think EA does EA do exclusives for platforms?
Uh, I don't,
Well,
I
yeah, they
don't
do
think.
some because they own
Well,
they own Activision and Call of Duty had that special thing for PlayStation
yeah,
4.
but yeah,
So
but
maybe
that's
that's
just a special
individual.
thing. That's not like,
Oh,
so
like
maybe they could do
exclusive, like the
something like
game
that,
only comes out. Yeah, I don't know.
or maybe they do like special promotions with Xbox.
I'm
Because I
sure
mean
they'll do
that
the special promotions thing. I would imagine with an EA game, it'll come out for PC, Xbox, and PS4. I don't think they do exclusive.
I'm just
I
saying,
could be
like
wrong, but
when we played KOTOR, it was on Xbox. So
right.
and
What was it
then
on
later,
PlayStation at all? It came out on PC later, right?
I don't think it came out on PlayStation at all.
Okay. Hmm.
So that tells me,
There was a
so
lot more
that
of that then, though. Remember that. There was a
well
lot more
exclusive.
like only games. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you have Xbox right now. They're struggling because they don't
Right.
have exclusives, except like Gears of War. Like, what do you fucking do?
Yeah, but that's
So,
from Microsoft.
and
Like in other
Halo.
words, I think that's you're getting exclusive from people that
Well,
only make it. Like God of War was
was
uh
PlayStation exclusive?
right, but who makes it? The anyways, Gears of War would be a better. It's Microsoft Studios. Microsoft makes Xbox, so it only comes out for Xbox. You know what I mean? Or it's
Right.
exclusive to Xbox. So like,
It would,
so
but it
EA
would be
owns this.
interesting.
So yeah, I think they just pay for you'd have to pay for exclusives. You're not gonna pay for the game. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're not only gonna get the game. It's gonna come out on PC on their Origin platform and probably and PS4.
Yeah.
But you may be able to pay for, which I don't like this part of the. I hate that part of the industry, but yeah,
Right.
I'm sure some council probably will pay for some kind of like you can only get a purple lightsaber on PS4, you know, like something like that,
Well, I
which is always
mean,
bullshit, but it is what it
yeah,
is.
it's one of those
EA
things.
is going
It's
to take
just,
advantage of it if it's out there.
yep. It's yeah. Who knows? It's just it would be interesting if it wasn't exclusive because I know. I mean, Xbox unfortunately is one. It just doesn't have exclusives, and except for a couple games, it's
Yeah, the big thing
really
now is that Xbox is like, especially the next generation, is definitely moving towards because it's Microsoft. I think Xbox is basically becoming PC. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
everything comes out on PC now, so it's
yeah.
kind of just PS4 floating out there. So we'll see.
Yeah, because
Or
PS4
PS5, whatever
is
whatever the next generation is. Just get a
yeah.
PC. I hate to be like that, but
I
pretty
mean,
much everything comes out on PC. So
yeah. Yeah, definitely super excited. There's a lot there. If there's a sequel, it'd be great to get a brand new story. I um really hope they don't screw this up. This
I
game
hope it's
is
inspired.
yeah,
That's my take. I hope this game is inspired by Knights of the Old Republic. I don't need it to be Old Republic. I want that to maybe come out as a movie sometime. Like I think that'd be awesome. But the
yeah.
game, take notes from the game and put it in the Project Luminous timeline. You know what I mean?
I
Not the
think it's
exact twists and
encouraging.
everything, but yeah, I'm glad that they're mentioning it. Is that what you're gonna say? Because I think
I was
that's
gonna
it's a
say
good sign.
yeah, it's encouraging that they're I think it's encouraging that at least Lucasfilms and Star Wars are at least
And EA, yeah, are looking
in
at something
EA.
that was awesome and going,
Yeah.
maybe we should learn. Yeah, no, it's
Like
a great sign.
yeah, because fans have been dying for something related to this period for a long, long time.
Yeah,
And I think after the blowback of say it what you will, the new trilogy though,
yeah,
you definitely have people that are now just like screw Star Wars. This would bring a lot of fans back because they would be like, "Fuck,
yeah.
I'm
Well,
gonna
like we
play this
always
game. It's
right,
gonna be
like we always
awesome."
talk about. There's so many of these people that hate everything Star Wars and yet continually watch and consume everything Star Wars. So yeah,
Right.
they still want to like it. So you know, maybe this will bring some
And
back, which is great.
yeah, yeah. So, uh, all right.
That's a
I
wrap,
think
right?
that wraps it up. That was a lot on Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, no, it's
So
awesome. I mean, we're
everyone
big
just
into
keep
video games, so I mean, if Star Wars can come out with some better video game stuff, and we can still talk about Fallen Order, but like some long term
yeah.
stuff where it's not just the storyline. Um, yeah, me and you would deep dive into that because that's the cross section of what we love. So
I mean, I would consider streaming that.
yeah,
That
oh
would
no,
be.
absolutely.
I mean, but it's yeah. I've been waiting for a game. I've been waiting for a Star Wars RPG like game like that
Yeah,
because or just that because it's been too long. That
yep,
game was so fucking awesome and it got me more into between that and Fantasy Star Online, those two games got me into
yep. The looter.
that
Yeah,
genre, the looter
yep,
genre, really well. So, um, but yeah, we'll keep you guys updated with once we if we see any more updates on that. I'm sure any leaks on that video game is going to be huge. I mean,
yeah,
everyone's freaking out about this.
yep.
So, um, but yeah, I think that's a wrap. Any last words, Ollie?
No, just yeah, we'll have a few more episodes before the Clone Wars, but we'll do a Clone
Yep.
Wars series, I think. Episode reviews, so we'll
Yeah,
get back into that.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's been a while since we've done those. So as always, subscribe to our podcast streaming services. We're on Spotify, iTunes. I mean, if you're listening to this, it would be Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, recording all of our podcasts onto
And some
YouTube
extra
and
stuff. Yeah.
some extra goodies. Ollie has a bunch of great videos. His most recent one was Dark Saber 1. So if you don't know what the fuck that sword is, go check it out on YouTube. It gives you all the info on the Dark Saber. Probably gonna see more of that Dark Saber in Clone Wars, I would hope. And it might answer some of those questions. So check us out and thanks for listening, everybody.
Later.
See you, Podawans.